Hey everybody, welcome back to Keeping It Real with Marilyn and Steve. If you grew up in the 70s like I did, I'm sure you remember something called Steak-Umm sandwiches. They're still around, but I don't know if they're as popular as they used to be. But Steak-Umm sandwiches were thinly sliced steak strips that you could make Philly steak and cheese sandwiches or steak with onions and peppers for like a sandwich. And they were really convenient. They came thinly cut, frozen in little strips that you could just throw on either a frying pan or on a griddle and heat up and throw into a sandwich. And it was just very quick and easy. I think some people call them 1-minute steaks. But as a vegetarian, you really don't have a whole lot of options. So I'm always experimenting and trying to come up with different things. And the other day we were discussing with somebody on social media a brand, Gardein, who makes BeeflessTips. And that person said they really loved BeeflessTips. And I said, have you ever tried making them into Steak-Umms? And they didn't. So I said, I'm going to make a video and I'm going to show how I do it. And whether you're a vegetarian or not, this may be something you want to give a shot. If you are a vegetarian, Gardein's BeeflessTips are both vegan and kosher, so whatever level of vegetarian you are, these should work out fine. It's a form of seitan. I believe they're made with vital wheat gluten as the main ingredient, so that's what they're making the base of this up with. But either way, what we're going to do is I've got a package of these. I've thawed them out in the refrigerator so they're soft, and I'll open this up and I'll show you how I make Steak-Umms. Okay, now that I got the bag open, these are the little BeeflessTips. You can see what they look like. They look like little chunks of beef. I'm gonna use about 3 of these for every Steak-Umm patty that I make. The bag usually contains about 24. It's sold by weight, not by count, so it may vary, but about 24 of those usually are what you get in a bag. So I'm gonna just take 3 of these, and by letting them thaw out, they don't have the same texture as real meat. They're more mushy. So what we're gonna do with them thawed is basically squish these together almost like a dough. And then I'm gonna roll them out into the shape that I want them to be. The flavor is already there, so we don't have to do any seasoning or any changes. Once I get them rolled out flat into roughly the shape of my little Steak-Umm, I'll be putting them between wax paper, put it in a freezer bag, we'll stick them in the freezer, and they can either store there or you can just let them freeze up. Before you use them, it's always better to let them freeze, because you take the frozen Steak-Umm and then that's what you put on your grill, or that's how you cook it. It holds its shape that way, rather than using it fresh where it's going to be a little bit soft and overly pliable. So we'll get started with this. You'll see how it goes, and then that's what we're going to be having for dinner. Okay, I'm going to start by taking out 3 of the little beef tips, and I'm going to mash those together so it's just one glob. And then I'm just gonna form it into my little Steak-Umm patty. They don't have to be super precise. I'm a little OCD with this stuff, so I'm gonna use a spatula to help kind of form my Steak-Umm here so it remains square. But these things are really convenient. They're great. Once you have these made, like I said, I've got 24 BeeflessTips in the bag, so I should be able to make, because I'm using 3 each, I should be able to make 8 of these. We'll probably have 2 each for sandwiches. So, you know, it's a few meals, whether you have it for dinner or lunch. It doesn't take long to cook these up. You throw it on a griddle and it's ready to go. But here's the finished Steak-Umm. The thinner they are, the better. But you also don't want them so thin that you can't take it off the wax paper to get it into the pan. So I'm gonna whip up 8 more of these, and then I'll get back to you and we'll go to the next step. Okay, and I'm just gonna wrap up this last one here. You can wrap these up however you want. I've never tried, or I don't believe I've tried parchment paper instead of wax paper in the past. I think one time I tried something different and they froze to the paper, so that's just something to be aware of. You don't want these to get too wet, so don't let them sit around like this in the paper. If the paper gets wet when they're frozen, they're gonna stick to the paper. So as soon as you get these things wrapped up, I like to put them into a freezer bag. This is a quart-sized bag. I guess it depends on what size Steak-Umms you make. These are about a half the original Steak-Umm sizes. They were much longer. This is a perfect size for us though. I'm gonna put them in a quart-sized freezer bag. I'll throw them in the freezer. Once they're frozen, once they're hard, they're ready to go. At that point you can use them and you'll get to see what we do with ours. I'm gonna get some onions and peppers in the pan first. And once the onions have had a chance to caramelize a little bit, I'm gonna add our Steak-Umms to this mix. Okay, these look like they're done enough. I'm gonna pull them aside so we can get our Steak-Umms started. Once they look like they're browning up good on both sides, I'm going to just toss this with the Steak-Umm so it all can cook together. But we'll get those in the pan. Here's the first one. I should be able to fit 4 in here. Okay, I'm gonna let them sit and brown up a little bit. I'll flip those over and then we'll get the onions and peppers all mixed in. And these don't take long at all. Like I said earlier, they're also called minute steaks. Because that's about how long it takes to cook these. Maybe 30 seconds on both sides. Okay, and then what I'm going to do is just get the onions and peppers kind of incorporated here. And I'll let those go for a few more minutes and they should be all set.
So now it's time to taste these awesome Steak-Umm sandwiches. So we're serving ours tonight with provolone cheese, onions, peppers, some mustard, and some of Steve's famous awesome coleslaw. And we'll have a video on that coming up soon as well, so don't miss out.
If you don't like coleslaw, it may be something to check out anyway. Marilyn always hated coleslaw until she tried this recipe. There's a secret to it, and you have to watch the video to find that out.
Yep, and the rolls that we're using are ones that Steve made using the bread recipe that we have on our webpage. We also have a video on that, so I'll make sure that we leave that in the description. But the bread recipe is also another great thing that you'll have to check out. And in the meantime, now it's time for us to be able to try these because it's dinner time.
Now the Steak-Umms are vegan, but the coleslaw is just vegetarian. It is not vegan. It uses mayonnaise. Just wanted to point that out. These are great. It's always good to be able to change things up so that you're not always eating the same thing over and over. And sometimes as a vegetarian, it's very difficult to come up with unique meat type recipes. A lot of the recipes that I have and that I use came from my family, my mother, and a lot of them have meat. So basically I have to find ways to substitute meat into those recipes. And growing up, I always loved Steak-Umms. It was one of those things I really wanted, but nobody makes them, so you have to make them yourself.
Yep, and these Steak-Umms we have used not just for making our own like Philly cheesesteak sandwiches, but we've made Philly cheesesteak pizza. There's a lot of different ways that you can use them.
Right.
So don't be afraid to be creative. If you have some great creative ways that you've taken something like our Gardein BeeflessTips and turned it into something that your family loves, make sure you leave a comment down below, and I'm sure everybody would love to get some more recipe ideas, especially now when we're trying to do more with less, or our options are a little more limited.
Right.
So thank you everybody for sticking with us through our videos and keeping us company, and we'll see you soon. Bye.
Bye. Thanks for watching. If you enjoy our videos and want to help us out, please like this video and subscribe. If you know someone who would like our videos, make sure to share, as this really helps our channel out. Again, thanks, and see you soon.